All right, guys, welcome back. This is another episode of the new release recap. Once again, I got Adam Barnhardt agreed to join me. We're going to talk about the second issue of Shit Show as it comes out, and we'll talk a little bit about the how benefited or not benefited from Scout's little 2-month break in between the issues and everything like that. But Adam, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to get to shoot the bull with you and talk a little bit.
Yeah, look at that. We're going to shoot the shit.
Yes.
No, it's no, thanks for having me, man. I enjoyed last time, and I figured since issue 2's coming out, man, it's been a nice little rest. I will say that. It's been relaxing. Now 2's here. 2 comes out, and I mean, by the time people see this, it'll probably already be out. You know, so 2 is upon us, and I'm excited for everyone to see it.
Yeah. You were kind enough to let me see a copy a little ahead of time so I could read ahead as we're going to talk about it. It's a lot of fun. It just like issue 1 was great. Issue 2, you keep building a story and then you hide a little bit of the story. So you're like, crap, I got to read issue 3, which I mean is good writing. It's a complete story, but then you're like, but I want to. There's another piece you gave me that I want to read in issue 3. And I'm excited about that. I love what I read last night. But before we really get deep into that, you dropped something, I guess, 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
It was only digital, but it's your encyclopedia. You had talked about it last time we met, and you finally got to release it. I know you had sort of mentioned maybe trying to kickstart it. Did you just decide, I'm just going to do digital?
That may still be in the plans. I don't know. I have to run it up to change and stuff. So we are doing a Kickstarter for something else this May.
Oh, okay.
And that might end up being a part of it as a stretch or something. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say that and jinx myself. But we are doing a Kickstarter launching May 1. If you guys like the Bear short story, it's a collection of short stories.
Oh, you're doing Lemon Drop?
Yeah. Not more of, well, I don't know what I should say on the Lemon Drop front. More Lemon Drop is in the works, just not for the Kickstarter. But the Kickstarter is going to be like a Shit Show Presents or like Shit Show short stories.
Okay.
And it's like a mini anthology of these stories we were going to include at the end of the issues, like issue 1. So that's launching in May, and I kind of want to have a stretch goal maybe where we could do the encyclopedia that way. Just as a nice reward for everyone, but I'm not quite sure. So I would love to get it physical some point, even if it's like in the trade or something. So we'll see. I'll try doing something.
So this is the cover that it would be. This is Wando. He did that cover for the Izzy's the Izzy did where he did Macrobell Mel. He had that cover, but this is Wando. Gorgeous cover. That's what I was so bummed. I'm like, I like Wando's stuff. And so to not have this in physical in my hand, it's sort of bummer. Like I would hope it does become. But I was going through and I bought it and I looked at it and you got some subtle hints to where it's like, crap, if this world ever takes off, if this ever becomes more than issue 1, 2, 3 or issue through 20 or whatever, I know you have this giant world potentially planned. You have it's sort of cool to look at, like it is an encyclopedia, and you have in there things like, okay, there's Macrobell Mel and tells her height and her weight and her history, and but I like you even have first appearance and you say when the first appearance is. And since you're the writer, you get to say when the first appearance is of a character. Yes. But you also have some stuff in here where it's like, let me remove the little CBSI thing because it's covering up where it would be. But like here, here's Merlin, but he's redacted. We're not going to tell you when he appears. So you're sort of a jerk. You reveal the character, but you're not going to tell you what issue he comes in. I'm assuming it's in the future if you ever get to Merlin's issue, but
right. So yeah, like Frigid Bread stays mostly half redacted because we get into, as you see in number 2, we get into her origin a little bit in number 2 and even more in number 3. So that's kind of the part of the redacted. You see a major reason why at the tail end of number 2, while her first paragraph or whatever's redacted in there. So I don't want to spoil too much, but at the same time you have some teases and stuff, you know. There's all sorts of stuff in the works, and comics take a while to make. I'm sure you've heard that plenty of times before, but we've got plenty of of stuff in the works, and it's slowly but surely unveiling stuff. But yeah, it's the Encyclopedia. So how that came to fruition is I kind of do the sheets ahead of time. I don't design them up and everything like that ahead of time, but I do have a document on Word that I just flesh these characters out with. Just so you know the characters and stuff. You know, you gotta have character sheets or something. And since they were on Word, I'm like, oh, you know, let's make this like an in continuity type release. You know, we might as well. The official handbook of the Marvel Universe is one of my favorite series of all time. I just read through it again over the weekend.
What keeps growing and changing? Like every 2 years, you have to get a new one.
Yeah, it is ever expanding. But it's just that it's incredible because everything's in there. It's just a nice little collector's item. Plus, it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. You know. So I saw that, and I'm like, you know, let's see. You know, I have big plans for this shit show universe, so we might as well start this. And as you'll see, it certainly has a #1 on the cover. So yeah, that's a nice little surprise for. And the Juan does incredible work. Juan's I've showed you some of his art before. I think some of the concept art and all that stuff. But I work with Juan on everything. We're working on something right now. You mentioned Lemon Drop. I think I shared some stuff on social media that he did with Lemon Drop, and it's just incredible. If once that stuff comes to light, I think that's going to be insane.
So that shoot up, and I love it. Lemon Drop's in your encyclopedia. I didn't grab the image, but I did grab one more image I want to talk about, because this is not who's in the comic in my mind. When I read it, is the way Balaam's drawn here doesn't feel like I know he's in there, but he doesn't feel the same as when I read the comic, because he's so evil and flames and smoke and all this stuff going around him. But then he looks like just a bad guy. He looks like Clubber Lane or whatever his name is. I can't remember.
You can't get too evil with an encyclopedia, you know? I mean, kids are supposed to use those for research and stuff like that, so you don't want to see him ripping someone in half inside the encyclopedia. And press day was a nice, calm affair. We got Blom to come for, you know, press pictures, so we figured let's not press the luck in and piss him off at all. Let's just try to get him to stand still and take the snapshot. No, Tom did some of that work, and that's the thing. It's super interesting it was super interesting to put this stuff out, because Samir did most of the character designs. And it's one thing to see a character bounce from title to title in something like Marvel or DC, you know, because artist interpretations are vastly different from there. But then that feeling is multiplied tenfold when it's your own original characters. You know, it's crazy you get one artist to draw it, but more than one artist. It's just kind of crazy to see.
Yeah, because I guess that's sort of like when I look at, because I mean, you open up issue 2 and Balaam's there. I mean, like he's like in the first panel, and it's like, whoa, what is going on here? But compared to what he looks like there, and I think that's a lot of it too that interests me with this comic, is your artists. You have 2 or 3, so I have 2 or 3 different images of what these guys should look like, and switching back and forth between them, and like, okay, Balaam looks like that, but then also Balaam looks like, I'm grabbing the image real fast. So Balaam looks like what he does in the first image, but even just how Rich McCoy looks and how Bridget and all of them look. So you're like, this is your opening panel, and Balaam's this big scary thing. He doesn't look quite the same as this guy. So it's just interesting to me. But so the month, you said it was a nice break, and I know you bounced around from did 2 or 3 different shows wherever you could sort of get into Talk's shit show. What was the push? What was the reviews and positivity, negativity? Like, did you learn anything about it? Because you've always been you've interviewed people for a living. You write reviews for a living, but now you're on the other side of it. How was it, like, to sit through it and have that critique of your sold, I guess, a lot of times.
I didn't mind the reviews. Truth be told, I didn't mind any of the reviews for number one. I will say it was just so much work getting number one out the door. Between talking with you and your colleagues and all that stuff, and posting Facebook stuff and trying to get around Facebook's no profanity ads for our advertisement. Or no, it's just it was such a huge thing for number one. So on that front, I mean, I really enjoyed Scout's new rule. I have yet to see whether that helps or hurts the sales of number two. I don't know. I'm not sure I'll know for a few months yet. But I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I know. I think I saw David Byrne on a show once, or maybe it was Charlie Stickney, say that they've had little or no change in sales for number two so far, because it started back in November, maybe.
Yeah, it's been
whenever it started.
Middle December is when you and I entered, so it was mid-December when we interviewed.
Right. So yeah, they haven't lied to me yet, so I trust that. So I trust that it's not help. But I still say it's a very smart decision, especially for retailers. Maybe not the fan stuff, but there's so much comics out there. You could fill those 2 months with all sorts of stuff. How many comics come out a week? 100, maybe. Some dozens for sure. Between all the indies and the big two, there's at least dozens of new comics that come out each week. So I'm a big fan. Number 3 comes out in April, so there's no 2-month wait or anything. But especially for first-time creative teams who don't have that fan base or what have you. You look at guys like Charlie, and Charlie could put one word on a Kickstarter, and that Kickstarter would go through the roof. Because he has that audience. Dave Burns' last Kickstarter went through the roof too. Those guys have the audience. You have guys. I think you've talked with John Hedrick, and he's one of the hottest guys in the indie game right now.
Yeah.
So the guys are getting their audience, and hopefully I start getting an audience. So maybe my next title won't have to have the 2-month window or something like that, because too exciting. But for retail, the distribution game's so arcane. It's just so bonkers for retailers, and with these 3-issue short stories, I wouldn't have blamed a retailer for not buying Shit Show, because they would have had to order all 3 issues before number 1 came out.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre how the setup is. So Scout's trying to combat it, and I think they're doing a good job so far.
Well, I think it's a good, because retailers always buy heavy on issue 1. So a lot of times what can happen is like your book. Okay, it's been 2 months. Well, maybe some of it ends up in a later issue or something like that. So, or not later issue, a dollar bin or something like that. So, and then someone picks up and reads it and go, oh, because I've done that before with an indie book, and I've gone and read it, and then I've picked it up for cheap on the first one, and then you know what, I gotta get issue 2, and I got issue 3, so I pay for cover on the rest of them, but if I had, oh crap, 2 already came out, or 3, or I missed it, my retailer decided not to get it because issue 1 didn't sell like it should. So I think that's a good policy for them. And then some retailers are really good. You go, hey, I like this book. Let me tell you about this book. Let's check this book out. And they know that by issue 3, people have signed up for it. So I like what they're doing, though I really hate waiting. I hated waiting for issue 2 on your book. I'm glad I only have to wait a month for issue 3, because I like to read my stories. And sometimes I even hold the issues and read them all at once. But now I can go back and read issue 1 and 2, and then read issue 1, 2, and 3 as they come out.
Right, and that was part of the reason for the encyclopedia. We knew the wait was coming up, and I was sitting on it. I think I even had it done before, like a month before number 1 hit stores. So we were sitting on it, and we're like, at least it'll bring people back in, a few weeks ahead of number 2, and remind them, hey, this is still something we're actually doing, So I think the response on the encyclopedia so far has been pretty positive. You never know, because it's not a comic,
yeah,
But I've been happy to see what people have had to say about it so far.
Well, like, and I'm like you. I loved reading the Marvel Handbook. I have the Marvel and the DC one. They're up on my shelf, and I've definitely. You just sit. You don't read them all the way through. You can read them cover to cover, but you just flip to. Oh, I want to know about this character, or I want. Oh, wait, they mentioned this guy, and you flip to the wherever that guy is. It's always sort of fun to read through and see. And just I did the same thing looking through your thing. I have not read it from PDF page 1 to PDF page whatever. I've skipped to the characters I recognize from the story and go, what is Macrobel Mel's story? What is Bridget Frigid's story? And or Frigid Bridget, I think I reversed it. And some of that it is nice to read and just see what you thought and why you created the character. And then what I do like is issue 2 takes you in and gives you more. It's not just Richard's story anymore. It's you give a clue into Macrobel Mel and what the heck happened in issue 1 that was so terrible. How did they defeat Balaam? Like you start to give clues on how that happened, but you don't reveal it all. I mean, you're doing a really good job with these flashbacks and going, there's just a little bit here and a little bit more and a little bit, but I'm not going to tell you everything. Does it conclude with issue 3? Do we find out? Like, are you built, or is this just going to continue on the story of the attack on Balaam? I think you said issue is a 3-issue arc with one character or a bad guy.
Right. So I've developed the shit show volumes to be one villain per 3 issues, one issue per, or one villain per volume or trade, if you will, or what have you. So I mean, Balaam's story does conclude in issue 3. Like I said, there are other stories in the works, or spinoffs, if you will, and he's included in one of them. Kind of, sort of. Yeah, I hopefully it's satisfactory about how we put it in, but obviously there are those teasers there, and I think at number 2 does at least a decent job of explaining how the world got how it was. I'm not sure if that was expected or foreseen or not, but we kind of start to explain that in issue 3. Which totally goes into the not even the best heroes can save ourselves, obviously it's the Superman conundrum, right? When every fight Superman has levels a whole city. Yeah. Except this is on a scale much, much bigger. But yeah, to circle back to your question, each volume is one villain, one antagonist. And I do like how you bring up that the Bridget stuff and the Mel stuff, because Shit Show is mainly Richard McCoy's story. But as we kept developing it, we started to fall in love with the supporting characters a lot. That's why we quickly kind of beefed up Mel's role a little bit, and we beefed up. Or I wrote a 2-issue spinoff that is one of my favorite things I've ever written, and I wrote it a year and a half ago or whatever, and we're just sitting on it for the moment. So it is fun to explore all these characters, and I don't want to write comics that are like super, super small in scale either, right? Because my favorite comics are superhero comics, and I just want to write the stuff that's just far over the top, that's so far detached from reality, but at the same time, at least trying to inject some humanity into it. I mean, who doesn't want? I love movies with explosions. Why shouldn't comics have that type of stuff as well? No fault to the people doing super mysteries and horrors and small scale stuff like that, but that's not my cup of tea. It's just the far explosion things. I say it's not my cup of tea, which I probably shouldn't have said because I just got done writing one. But I prefer.
So don't disqualify what he said, because he writes good both styles. He's good at both, not just heroes.
See, I'm not sure if I'm good at the mystery or horror aspect of it. We'll see. I will admit I like the superhero stuff better, but the horror idea just came and I wrote through 5 issues really quick. I don't know why it was so easy to write through horror. Maybe my life's just so scary that I was able to power through it or something. I don't know. But the horror stuff was a lot easier to write. It probably helps that it doesn't have 20 characters you have to worry about as well.
Yeah, because that's the challenge of what you've chosen to do is you've tried to create dropped into the middle of a world. Like the way you started your story or whatever is the flashbacks to a terrible time and now the recovery. And then you said, you know what, screw it. End of issue 1, we're going to bring back the big baddie and we're going to start it all over again with a brand new batch of heroes, but we still don't know what happened to the original batch of heroes. So we're going to slowly tell you what happened to the original batch of heroes while they're fighting. And it's just like, whoa, I can't even catch my breath to figure out who I identify with. But you did that. Like, you make me care about Bridget. Like, I didn't really know much about her in issue 1. In issue 2, you slowly start telling me about her and a little bit of her origin, but not really about her. Like, okay, there's something in that image and there's something, but it's not quite spoken. And then at the same time, I'm going to introduce you, make sure you know that Macabro Mel was a freaking badass. But I mean, I don't know. So far, those 2 characters, of course, are the main one besides McCoy. Those are the only 3 you've really showed us anything of. Like, I'm interested to know the rest of the kids and how they came about. And I'm looking forward to whenever you get to understand the rest of the Flying McCoys and what they do.
Totally. I will say, so at the end of the very first draft I ever wrote from Shit Show didn't have Balam coming back. I'm not sure if I should even say this. It had one of his lieutenants or whatever. I don't even have the guy's name. It's somewhere down. We have character designs for him and stuff. But we had to pump the brakes sometime. You know, we're like, well, shit, we're introducing 5 protagonists. You know, should we introduce yet 2 villains and have the storylines run parallel, even though they're different antagonists? And that just dawned on me. It's like, I think it makes a lot more sense if Balam's the villain in both timelines.
Yeah.
Right. It's easier to. It would have been much easier to understand. Maybe or maybe not. Maybe people would have looked at it and realized, well, this is a different bad guy, so it's a different time. But I think the timeline stuff's still relatively easy to understand. So that's I've never even told anybody about that. So there is another demon villain out there somewhere.
I think it was probably, for me, it was better because it all depends on how he's drawn. I mean, you would have to draw the second villain drastically different enough to where I could tell, okay, because big hulking guy in the clouds, one's red and one's blue, doesn't quite do it for me. I mean, like you would have to have it drastic enough as far as their skill set. But if you're talking demons, it gets a little trickier. So I like the fact you brought Balam back and just sort of said, and also just, between that and Macabro Mel's story of slowly revealing what happened the first time and understanding why Richard is a drunk and not just because he lost his friends, the way he lost his friends. That I'm very interested to see where it goes. I hate middle stories, just like Empire Strikes Back. You're like, oh, it's so good, but damn it, it's not giving me enough. And and there you go, a compliment. If you're a Star Wars guy, I just compared your issue number 2 to Empire, but
look at that. And that's the thing. I mean, number 2s are probably the toughest book out of the series to write, right? Because you need to move the story forward. And try to keep the excitement up from number 1 all at the same time. It's the perfect storm. Number 2s are, you don't want to disappoint. You don't want to bring everything down. I was trying to pull something on my phone, but it's not working. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you like number 2. But it's just, and even more so in a 3-issue story, man. Number 2 is already the penultimate issue, we only have 1 more issue to go. It's number 2 was probably the most difficult to break and write because I knew the beginning and I knew the end. It's just bridging the 2 and getting there.
Now so I do have to So switching gears slightly, because issue 2, where I struggle a little bit, it's trying to figure out the cover. I understand it's a picture and he's drunk, but at first glance, I thought it was like he was getting punched through a door, or I couldn't tell. It didn't dawn on me till I just looked at it right before the show. I was like, oh, wait, that's a picture. He's just passed out drunk. Now it makes more sense to go along with issue 1, because he was drinking on issue 1. Like, it is sort of interesting though. Like, those characters, you saw them die in issue 1. Some of them, I'm not sure if we saw them. I know they all, but it's like, okay, I don't know their story at all. And then I know you have the encyclopedia. I can read about them. It's the amount of characters you introduced and you keep showing them. And then you're like, but they're not in the book at all. I don't think any outside of the Shadow, which I'm assuming is Mel. The rest of those guys, you don't see at all in issue 2.
So I will say this was originally, I'm not sure if I should say that. We changed covers up a little bit to protect spoilers.
Okay.
Because if you look at issue 3, this very same characters are back, although their appearances are differ greatly. I think just throughout all the issues, it's just getting across the fact that those are the most superhero looking characters, and they're all dead.
Yeah,
all of them are dead, and the one that's alive's as good as dead on the inside, And I think that's just kind of the thought process behind those covers. Number 3 coming up, I think number 3 is probably the best cover of the series from Samir. He did killer work on that, and I enjoy it. It's somewhere out in previews, I think. I would guess.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. I just did not grab it before.
So that's kind of the thought process behind the covers. I mean, I think it would be a dream to go back and like visit the Legion in their actual title, except style it as like a Bronze Age story with thought bubbles and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't. I mean, the idea's in my head, but each time I read it, I think it would be hilarious to how they talk about their actions and they talk what they're doing and all that stuff. And there's little to no captions. It's just all them saying, that guy is mad at me. Maybe I should punch him. I would love to do a Legends Legion story in that vein.
Yeah,
but that's going to require the right artist. I think you have to do the style of art there as well. But the idea is out there. Maybe we'll come to fruition at some point. But I have plenty of other things I'm working on beforehand.
Now, first issue had 3 or 4 exclusives, because you had Izzy's did the other Wando cover of the Mel Makraba. You had CBS Comic Book Shopping Network's cover, which was the emoji cover because they didn't want to have the title on the cover, which I actually thought was I liked it. It was sort of clever. Then you, of course, had the web store, and then you had I think there was a incentive cover that was a Timblesmith.
Yes.
No.
Who did we have do the incentive?
No, Wando did it. It was a different Wando.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Wando.
He was sitting on the throne almost. And then
we had the A and the B, which is the incentive. We had the web. We had 9 total, I think 10 if you include Izzy's
Virgin
two.
cover.
So we had Izzy's 2. Yep. Hive did one. Hive did one from.
That's the white background, and he's walking through like an art gallery, and it says like scum or something across the.
Yeah, and then Rich Woodall's butt cover. You said that was the web store. Yeah. There was the Christmas one. There's the Christmas ones out there, and what else?
Yeah, because you had the secret variant, which it's interesting to me. I thought your secret variant was one of the more clever ones that come out there, but stores missed it completely. Like because you had to look at the bottom in the corner and it said flip this over, and only certain books had it. And then you had I love the fact that you had a 5-page or 6-page little Christmas story. 12 page.
It was 12. It was a 12-pager. Yeah, that's the thing. I physically went into a store and they had people didn't know. They didn't bother flipping the cover over, even though the disclaimer, and they just had it in with with the other ones as well. I know people have bought it, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know what this was." You know, they bought it based on like a stock photo or something, and then they were shipped this instead. So it's super secret. And the fun thing about that is that's a story that's going to continue from year to year year. I have we'll see, I have 5 installments planned, and Giuseppe's great to work with too. That he has a nice like folksy type art style too. He's working on, I'm not sure if I can say. It's not even a shit show thing. He got a job. That's just awesome. So I'm not even sure if, I probably shouldn't say what he does for work. But many people are going to see his work shortly.
That's awesome.
Through TV. I'll stop there. But
so does issue 2 have anything more than this cover, the first cover?
No more variants unless something. No more variants. Nothing can happen because we already sent 3 to press.
I was curious because I know sometimes they still throw out the secret variants or whatever. It seems like they decide, you know what, that Adam's idea was good, but no one really paid attention. We want it, so we're just going to do VHS variants for every other book that comes out, because like every book that Scout does has a VHS variant that's snuck in, and because the 2 or 3 of them did really well on the aftermarket, and I know aftermarket doesn't really affect from your perspective on sales, but man, that it does create the buzz, like people going crazy for a secret variant. Because I was able to track down, I think 2 or 3 more copies of the shit show secret variant, just because I like the challenge, because my store didn't get any. So it was like I was scouring eBay for, okay, is this a real image or is it a stock image? Okay, no, it's the real image. And I'd message go, do I get the book in the picture? And not trying to reveal that it's a secret variant, because I want to pay cover price.
Right. And they were out there, man. I noticed I saw one on Facebook that was the same way, and that's something I have to thank Scout for even doing that, because that was a very quick turnaround, and I had it was kind of like a Hail Mary type thing. Like, hey, we have this Christmas story. Christmas is my favorite time of the year. Always has been, always will be. And we did that. I just wanted some way to bring Santa Claus to the shit show universe. I just wanted to bring Santa, and we already know he's Marvel's most powerful mutant. Why can't we make him a superhero in our universe? And the narrative we have here is exciting. From year to year. I don't think this is too spoilery. From year to year, it all takes place on the single sleigh ride that they're currently on. So that's kind of the purpose through our multi-year Christmas story. And then we'll release an anecdote each year. And then eventually, hopefully, if all this stuff comes to plan, who knows, then we can release one single thing or put it in a trade as one solid issue or something. So that was the thought process behind the Christmas. But man, Scout made it happen, man. And I'm so thankful for them. That's they powered that through, even though they had no need to or desire, or I shouldn't say desire, but no obligation to.
Yeah.
So I'm eternally grateful for that.
So this comes out on March 10th. Plan on dropping this. It'll be coming out on March 10th, the article as well. Guys, if you haven't been reading, check out Shit Show. Read issue 1, track it down on your LCS or hop online. Go to Scout's website. You can buy it on Scout's website. If you read my articles, one of my articles with Charlie Stickney, he drops a code in that you can actually get a little bit cheaper, 20% off. If you go back to that article and read it, it's only good as long as his Kickstarter. Speaking of masters of the Kickstarter, he is one of his Kickstarters. When they sell great. I mean, his Kickstarter is still going live if you haven't seen, for White Ash or Galarian side story. But Adam, thank you so much for joining me. I did enjoy the book. I'm looking forward. I'm going to pick it up on Wednesday when I hit up the store, and I think I've actually already signed up for issue 3. So to make sure I get it, that's one of the big things. If you like books, especially when you're talking Scout, guys, please go to your FOC. Please hit your store up and say, "Can I get the series?" The nice thing is it's only 3 issues. I like being able to tell my LCS, "Hey, I just want 3 issues," or "I just want," and I can sign up for Shit Show Volume 2 or whatever, but I don't have to have the long commit, because when you say Spider-Man, crap, I didn't mean to get all 56 issues of Spider-Man that came out, because you know what, they decided to do it every week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take the Deadpool book. Which one? You know, all
Was
of
it
them, all
Nerd and
12.
Herdy or something comes out this week? Like a 30. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's so many ridiculous Spider-Man's, Deadpool, Batman. You're
yeah.
like, okay, every week. No, shit show is once a month. It's a 3-issue arc, and then you can sign up for when he does the next one, which I'm assuming will be in the spring or summer. But I'm excited also though to check out and see. Do you have a little mini story at the end of this issue too, like you did for
No,
issue one?
no, not two. No, that's we stripped them out of 2 and 3. We were, and then we decided to throw them all in their own
Okay,
story. And that comes to Kickstarter May 1.
okay.
We just
That's
wanted to wait till 3 came out, but yeah, those will be coming shortly. 4 stories, maybe 5 stories will be in there.
okay, because I do have to admit, the issue one, Lemon Drop might have been part of my favorite part, just because it's such a fun character. Now, of course, this I say that because I love Warcorns. I love something about a freaking cute little animal with a horn that's going to kill you. It's just fun to me.
Yes, it is. I will say this to surprise you. There is a Lemon Drop story in the work. You know what? I've never shown anyone this. So I will give you, since you like Lemon Drop so much, just bear with me one
Okay.
second since we are video. I will show you the inks of something that we are working on. If I could scroll through.
I like to give yourself sound effects for scrolling so we know.
Where is it? There. Oh, you can't see it there. Darn it. The inks for something. I'll give you a little peek. The inks for something. If you can see.
Ooh, nice.
The inks for something.
What
that something is? Well, we'll see.
Have to pay attention. Okay.
But keep it on your radar. It's in the it's going to be in the pitch stage right now. We have a quarter of the book done, and we're working on some cover layouts to pitch. But I think this probably will be our first shit show spinoff, even before the Mel story. I really want to work on, and other than the Kickstarter, I think we might. I'm not sure if it'll even be a 2021 book yet. But I think it will be probably our next thing, even before Shit Show Volume 2, because I love cosmic stories. I'm not sure if we even talked about that. Cosmic and space stories are my fave, and this book's kind of our version of the Guardians of the Galaxy or the Green Lantern Corps or something like that.
That could be fun. See now, but damn you! Now I'm like, oh, but it might not come out this year. It's freaking March. I got like 8 months to wait to find out if it's
man, comics take like 5 years to make. It might not even come out this decade. Who knows? I don't know.
It's gonna end up being like a hidden gem cover for 10 years from now on the Shit Show Volume 82.
Right. No, it's yeah, I have no idea. I haven't even talked to Scout about it, so it might not even get published. It might be a Kickstarter thing. I don't know.
I do have to say, like, it's nice to be published, but it is, as a fan, knowing that you guys do these Kickstarters, if you ever start doing, like you're about to do one in May, like, it is so much fun to start getting an inside track and know, man, you're building this character up. And like, because I've jumped on a few of them, like, oh, okay, I understand why Kickstarters are fun, because you feel like you have a secret entity, because you'll get in on their post like, hey man, we just went to press, and it's like, oh, I'm getting updates of how long it takes to get printed. That's sort of cool. And this is only 3,000 issues. It's not even like it's a 12,000 issue run or a 75 issue. I mean, it's pretty cool.
No, it's great. Like the characters and stuff. White Ash is one of my favorite indie books. Charlie does a great job on that. Now he's doing the Galarian spinoff, and Kevin does something similar with Tart, with his Kickstarters. And he, like you said, we mentioned the
Tart comes out this week too. Like his whatever Tart.
Oh yeah, he has a Tart spinoff or extra, or like the Tart one shot.
Yeah, I have actually right. So my store gets the there it is. The Soul Searchers gets the book doesn't actually come out, but all the web store exclusives they got early. So this is the Piper Roush cover for that book. I haven't read it yet, but I got it yesterday at my LCS. I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like
Piper is amazing.
Yeah, Oh man, his
Um,
Electric Black 3 comes out. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
there
It's scary gorgeous.
some stuff's in the works with Piper. I can't say much, but
Oh,
Piper is doing some shit show stuff. So soon enough, you will see
ooh,
covered by Piper.
okay. Well then, man, see, I'll ah.
But it's the thing about comedy. And it's like watching WandaVision. You
Yeah.
know, WandaVision probably would have been much worse if it was just a binge show that dropped all at once.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those things. The mystery carries you week through week, so you can talk to people and you can post on Facebook, and then you could piss people off on Facebook by talking about it. You know, I mean, some of the theories did get far out of hand, but that's why Marvel is as big as it is. People want to talk about it. It's the best thing that could have happened coming off of the shit show that was last year. You know,
Oh no,
something like that where
I'm a
people were
big fan of
dissecting it week.
the way they did the Mandalorian, the way they did that. I wish Netflix would actually take that advice and do the same thing and release some of their shows. The water cooler talk that made Walking Dead what Walking Dead is.
Yep.
What made Lost what it was when it was on 24, because you go week to week and then you go to work and you talk to people, or you get in your message groups and you talk about theories, and that was lost with Netflix because you could binge it. Like,
and then the whole world shifted to that, and then Disney comes and says, let's do something else. Let's bring it back. And
yeah, well, I want to keep your money longer than a month, because people do that to Netflix. Right. I mean, I do it. I'll sign up for 1-2 months and then I'll pause it and then sign up for 1-2 months.
I mean, it's smart, because six Marvel shows a year that take 2 months each. You're never canceling Disney Plus.
So what? Ever. Falcon comes out in 2 weeks. So you're like,
no, next Friday.
Oh, really?
Next Friday. This week is they're doing a show called Assembled, which is like the Disney Gallery behind the scenes thing they did with the Mando. It's an incredible stuff. You hear interviews with the filmmakers. That's where they get into in the Mando one. They got into the volume style. It's just all, if you even have the slightest interest in filmmaking, you know, how they set up the volume and film on that, and how they never go on location. It's just crazy with the Mando. So they're doing that with WandaVision this week, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier is next.
That's awesome.
I can't wait. But then we're gonna have a month off between that and Loki, and I really want to see Loki.
Middle June. You have the month off.
Yes,
you might have to go outside.
I know. Geez, right when it's getting nice, you have to go outside and do something. Darn it.
All right, Adam, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, check out Shit Show 2. Go to your store, buy it. If your store doesn't get it, go on scout.com, order it. It's a great read. If you don't like having floppies, get the digital issues and read them. I mean, I did that for issue the Encyclopedia. I mean, it's just sort of fun to have. So once again, this is Comic Book Creator Chats on CBSI and New Comic Book Review.